In the glittering banquet hall, everyone turned away at once. Not because they didn't see, but because they chose to pretend they didn't. Juliana Stone, CEO of Stone Resorts International, the most powerful woman in Las Vegas, was swaying unsteadily by the bar. Her sequin dress shimmered under the lights, her cocktail glass tilting in her hand. And all around, dozens of phones were raised. Not to help, but to capture the humiliating moment. In that crowd, one man froze in place. Logan Pierce, a janitor on the 15th floor. Every instinct in him screamed, "Don't get involved, this isn't your business." But Juliana's eyes suddenly met his. Not the eyes of a powerful CEO, but the eyes of a human being desperate for someone to reach out. And Logan thought of Ava, his 9-year-old daughter, who often asked, "Daddy, if everyone turns away, then who will be the first to step forward?" Logan put down his rag. He walked past the mocking stares, past the murmurs. "What's he trying to do?" Looking for attention? Maya Hassan, a senior executive, even smirked. "Let her handle it herself. Why get involved?" But Logan didn't stop, because that night he had no idea that this seemingly small decision would change both his and his daughter's lives. Not because of money, not because of a title, but because of one important lesson. Sometimes, doing the right thing quietly is when it matters most. Derek Wells, the bartender, looked uneasy as Logan approached Juliana. "Miss Stone," Logan said softly, "let me take you home." Juliana turned her head, her eyes red, struggling to focus on him. "Who are you?" "Logan, janitor on the 15th floor." A pause. Then Juliana smiled, a weary, embarrassed smile. "So the only one who stayed is the one I never once noticed." As Logan guided her out of the hotel, dozens of eyes followed. Some curious, some mocking, the rest busy filming. But none of them knew Juliana Stone was not just a drunk CEO. She carried within her a painful past never revealed. And in Logan's old car, rolling through the neon-lit streets of Las Vegas, she would open up about a father, a janitor, and the reason why she once swore she would never forget her roots, until she herself had. But before that story is told, let's rewind to understand more about the life of Logan and little Ava before that fateful night. If you love stories about fatherhood, kindness, and life's unexpected turns, don't forget to subscribe to True Tale Time so you won't miss a single episode. So, what kind of life did Logan and Ava face before everything changed? And what made an ordinary man become the central figure of this story? 6 o'clock in the morning in Las Vegas. While most of the city was still asleep after its dazzling nights of parties, Logan Pierce had already been up since 5. Not because he liked waking up early, but because it was the only way to prepare breakfast for his daughter before heading to his shift. The father and daughter lived in a small apartment in the old downtown area, a place where ambulance sirens echoed through the night, where the air conditioner rattled as if it could break down at any moment. Simple as it was still the only home they had left. In the bathroom, Logan looked into the mirror. A 42-year-old man with graying hair, the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes deeper than the year before. On the shelf, a small photo frame sat neatly. The only remaining picture of Sarah, his wife who had passed away from cancer 3 years ago. He remembered vividly those final nights in the hospital, when Sarah held his hand and whispered, "Promise me, Logan. Let Ava see that no matter how harsh life gets, kindness is always the most important thing." He had promised. But 3 years later, sometimes Logan wondered if he still had the strength to keep that promise, when, in order to raise his daughter, he had sacrificed almost everything, even himself. A clear little voice called from the bedroom, "Daddy, are you making pancakes?" Ava's voice was as sweet as the morning sun. Logan quickly wiped away the tear he hadn't realized had fallen, then smiled and replied, "Of course, Princess." "Daddy's making them now." Ava ran out, her hair still messy, wearing purple pajamas with unicorn prints. 9 years old, yet her bright eyes seemed to be observing the whole world. She hopped onto a chair, rested her chin in her hands, and studied her father seriously. "Daddy, you didn't sleep enough, did you?" Logan froze. "How do you know?" "Because you have dark circles, and when you smile, your eyes don't smile with you." Logan set down the steaming pancakes on the table and sat across from her. "You're too smart for your own good." Ava shrugged. "I learned it from you. You also pretend you're fine, but really, you're very tired." He fell silent. Sometimes, this 9-year-old understood him better than he understood himself. "Daddy," Ava tilted her head, her voice gentle. "Today is the day you go to the party, right?" "Yeah, but I don't really want to go." "Why not?" "Because I don't belong there. I'm just a janitor." Ava softly placed her small hand on his. "What did Mommy used to tell me, Daddy?" She said, "No one is ever just something. Everyone matters." Sarah's words seemed to echo again through their daughter's voice. Logan swallowed hard, trying to hold back his emotions. "Yeah, your mom said that." "Then you have to go. Maybe you'll meet someone important. Or maybe you'll do something important." Logan let out a small, weary laugh. "You sound like a prophet for a 9-year-old." Ava shook her head seriously. "I'm not a prophet, but I know if you keep avoiding everything, you'll never see the good things waiting ahead." He gazed at his daughter silently. 9 years old, but sometimes Ava felt like an old soul who had lived 100 years. "All right," he sighed. "I'll go." But only for an hour. Ava squealed with delight. "Yes, and make sure to dress nicely. Mommy used to say you were really handsome." That evening, Logan stood before his closet, choosing the only decent shirt he had left. He thought of Sarah, of the promise he had made to his wife, of how Ava had to grow up without her mother's touch. A single father working 12 hours a day. Was that good enough? He fastened the navy blue tie Ava had given him, telling himself, "Just 1 hour, then home." But Logan had no idea. That single hour would change his entire life. Stone Resorts International. Rooftop. Rooftop party. If you've never been to Las Vegas, it's hard to imagine such a sight. White string lights stretched across, glittering like a galaxy in the night sky. A long bar covered in glossy black marble. A DJ mixing electronic beats, creating an atmosphere both vibrant and luxurious. And in the distance, the full view of the Las Vegas Strip glowing, casino towers blazing like volcanoes of light. In that scene, Logan Pierce walked in. It felt like stepping into another world. A world of $2,000 suits, handcrafted Italian leather shoes, and confident laughter from people born to be familiar with power. And him? A discounted shirt from Target, slacks 3 years old, and worn-out leather shoes polished until the soles were nearly gone. "Pierce, you made it!" a familiar voice called out. Marcus Reed, a colleague from the cleaning department, waved him over. About 55, Mexican, who had worked at Stone Resorts for 12 years. The only person in the company Logan could call a friend. "What are you doing here, too?" Logan walked over. Marcus shrugged with a wry smile. "Mandatory. HR said encouraging all employees to attend to build company culture. But just look around. How many here look like us?" Logan glanced around. He was right. Among more than 200 guests, only 5 or 6 were dressed simply. The rest belonged to another world, where power and money determined one's place. Marcus poured Logan a glass of soda and warned, "Stay away from alcohol. Embarrassing yourself would be trouble." Logan smiled faintly. "Don't worry. That's not my habit." The two stood in the corner, watching the crowd like outsiders. Logan quickly noticed Maya Hassan, the marketing director, standing by the bar, champagne glass in hand, laughing freely with a group of executives. Her eyes flicked over Logan for just a second, then turned away, as if he were completely invisible. That feeling was nothing new. To most people here, men like Logan and Marcus weren't colleagues. They were service staff, silent shadows. "Pierce, have you seen Juliana Stone yet?" Marcus asked. "The CEO?" "No. I heard she's coming tonight. First time in 3 years. She rarely shows up at these." Logan nodded. "I only know her face from the website." Marcus chuckled. "You know, she became CEO at 35. Took a small casino and turned Stone Resorts into the third largest resort chain in Las Vegas. They called her the Ice Queen. No one's ever seen her truly smile." Logan looked toward the main entrance. The Ice Queen. He suddenly wondered, had anyone ever asked why a woman would hide her smile so completely? And then she appeared. Juliana Stone, entering like a cold wind. Black hair cascading down, a silver sequin dress hugging her figure, blood-red high heels. The entire room fell silent for a moment. Then thunderous applause erupted. Juliana smiled, a perfect, polite smile, but one that never reached her eyes. She raised her hand in greeting. "Thank you all for coming. Please enjoy the evening." With that, she strode straight to the bar. Marcus whispered, "Look, the Ice Queen has arrived." But in Logan's eyes, she wasn't a cold queen. All he saw was a woman trying desperately to hold on to a flawless mask. An hour passed. Logan was still standing in the corner with Marcus, slowly sipping a soda that had long gone flat. On the party floor, the executives were still chatting and laughing, each trying to get closer to Juliana Stone as if she were a living treasure. But something wasn't right. Juliana had drained her third cocktail, then a fourth. The fifth glass landed on the bar with such force that liquid spilled over the rim. Derek Wells, the bartender, frowned slightly, but when Juliana motioned, he still poured another. Nearby, Maya Hassan tilted her head and sneered to another director. "Look at that! The Ice Queen seems to be melting tonight." Laughter rippled out. Logan only frowned silently. By 9:30, Juliana left her bar stool. Her steps wavered, her red heels clipped the leg of a table, and she nearly fell. She clutched the edge of the table, burst out laughing, not a joyful laugh, but an empty, harsh sound, like a mask cracking. "I'm fine," she slurred, trying to drown out the attention. "What are you all worried about?" "I'm still the CEO. I still control everything." No one responded. The entire room simply watched. Tiffany Nguyen, the young receptionist, whispered to an executive beside her, "Should we call a car for her?" The man shook his head firmly. "Don't get involved. Let her handle it." And then, phones came out all at once. At least 5 cameras aimed at Juliana. No one called a car. No one reached out. They only wanted to record. "Oh my God, look at this!" A woman's voice chuckled. "The CEO drunk like this. It'll go viral for sure." "Where to post it?" a man asked. "Not sure. But save it. It might come in handy." Marcus stood next to Logan, his voice heavy. "Pierce, I don't like this." Neither did Logan. Before him, Juliana Stone, the most powerful CEO, was no longer the untouchable, icy figure. Tonight, she was just a drunk woman, abandoned in the very crowd that cheered her every day. Juliana dropped into a chair, covering her face with her hands. Her shoulders trembled. It wasn't clear if she was crying, but the way she hung her head, the way her body folded in on itself, this was no longer alcohol. This was collapse. Maya Hassan stepped forward, her voice laced with forced concern. "Ms. Stone, do you want us to call someone?" Juliana lifted her head, her eyes bloodshot. "Call who? My brother? The one who hasn't spoken to me in 3 years? Or my friends? Those people who only call when they need money?" Her voice cracked, trembling. Or call my father? Oh, right, he's dead. 10 years. 10 years, and I never even got to say sorry. A short, bitter laugh burst out, half pain, half self-mockery. Maya faltered, stepping back awkwardly. I just wanted to help." "Help?" Juliana snapped, narrowing her eyes. "You're recording me, aren't you?" "I see the phone in your pocket." Maya froze, her face drained of color. The entire room sank into heavy silence. Then, one by one, people began to slip away. Some stepped out to the balcony, others melted into the crowd. No one wanted to be caught in the scene of the Ice Queen melting right before their eyes. Marcus sighed, whispering, "Pierce, we should go." "This isn't our business." Logan nodded faintly, but his feet didn't move. All he saw was Juliana, the woman once a symbol of power, now sitting alone, shoulders slumped like an abandoned child. In his mind flickered the image of Ava, and Sarah's whisper from years ago. Kindness is the most important thing. If one day Ava were in this situation, would he want the world to turn its back on his daughter? Logan set his soda down on the table. "Marcus, I'm going to stay a while." Marcus looked at him in surprise. "What are you planning to do?" "The right thing." He walked toward Juliana Stone. With each step, he felt the eyes of the entire room pressing against his back. Whispers spread. "What's he doing?" "Who is that?" "Oh, the janitor." "Really?" "Trying to be a hero?" Logan didn't care. In his mind, only Ava's voice echoed, "Daddy, if someone needs help and no one helps, then who will be the first?" And at that very moment, Logan decided the first would be him. "Miss Stone?" Logan's voice broke through the heavy air. Juliana lifted her head. Her eyes were bloodshot, her gaze unfocused as she tried to concentrate. Who are you?" "Logan Pierce, ma'am. I clean the 15th floor." She squinted, as if trying to piece information together. Then a faint smile appeared, sad and bitter. "So, the only one who stayed is the one I never once noticed." The words struck Logan, not because of malice, but because they were painfully true. He spoke softly. "Let me take you home." Juliana shook her head, trying to brush it off. "No need. I can get home myself." But when she forced herself to stand, her legs wobbled and her body tilted to one side. Logan reached out just in time to steady her. Juliana sighed, her voice exhausted. "All right. You win." "Take me home, Derek Wells," the bartender, hurried over, handing Juliana's coat to Logan. "Be careful," he murmured, "and thank you." Logan nodded, draped the coat over Juliana, and guided her toward the door. The room was wrapped in a strange silence. No one spoke, no one stopped them, but no one helped either. Maya Hassan stood near the door, champagne glass in hand, her eyes complicated, half curiosity, half shame. "Pierce," she began, hesitating, Be careful." Logan didn't respond. He didn't know if it was concern or a warning. His old sedan was parked at the farthest corner of the lot, the section for low-level employees. A 2008 Honda Civic, its paint faded, the right taillight cracked, the driver's seat torn and patched with tape. When Logan opened the door, Juliana paused for a moment. Her eyes swept over the worn interior, then back at him. "This is your car?" "Yes, ma'am." A beat of silence. Then she climbed in, buckled her seatbelt, and said nothing more. Logan started the engine. The car pulled out of the lot and onto the road. In the cramped cabin, the distance between him and the powerful CEO suddenly felt strangely close. And he realized, stripped of the spotlight, stripped of power, stripped of $1,000 suits, Juliana Stone was only the figure of a tired, wounded, lonely woman. The car glided slowly along the Las Vegas Strip. Outside, casinos blazed, neon lights danced, music pulsed from the clubs. People laughed, shouted, reveled. But inside the car, there was only silence. Juliana leaned her head against the window, her voice hoarse. "You know, I hate this city." Logan glanced at her, surprised. "But you're the CEO of Stone Resorts?" She let out a dry laugh. "That's right. I built an empire in a place I hate. Ironic, isn't it?" Logan stayed quiet. Juliana kept speaking, as if to herself. "My father used to say, Las Vegas is a city of false dreams. People come here to forget their pain. But in the end, they just sink deeper into it." She turned back to him, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. "And now, I'm part of that machine. I sell illusions. I sell dreams. But me, I don't have any dreams left." Logan swallowed, searching for the right words. Are you having a hard time?" Juliana stayed silent for a long time. Then she nodded, her voice trembling. "Today is the 10th anniversary of my father's death. 10 years, and I still haven't been able to tell him. I'm sorry." She quickly wiped away a tear rolling down her cheek. "I'm sorry for forgetting my roots. Sorry for becoming someone he never wanted me to be. Sorry for abandoning everything he taught me." Her voice broke. "Today, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself anymore." The car stopped by the side of a quiet street, far from the flashing neon lights of the Strip. Street lamps cast their yellow glow. The night breeze rustled softly through the trees. Juliana was still crying, but tried to suppress it, as if ashamed to let a stranger see her weakness. Logan opened the glove compartment and pulled out a tissue box Ava had left there, scrawled across it in childish handwriting. "Daddy, don't forget to smile." He handed it to Juliana. She looked at the words, then turned to him with a faint, sorrowful smile. "Your daughter wrote this?" "Yes. Ava, 9 years old." "Ava," she repeated softly, wiping her tears. "Beautiful name. She must love you very much." Logan nodded, his eyes lit with sincerity. "And I love her. She's the reason I try every single day." Juliana sat in silence for a long moment, then exhaled gently, her eyes drifting far away. "My father used to say the exact same thing." Her voice softened, as if sinking into memory. "His name was Thomas Stone. He died at 52 from lung cancer. He worked in chemical-heavy environments for 30 years, never had proper insurance." She paused, drawing a deep breath to steady herself. "My father was a janitor. Just like you. Back then he worked at a small casino called Lucky 7. It's gone now, torn down to build a high-rise." The story flowed, like a river she had held back for too long. "My mother left when I was 5. It was just the two of us. My dad worked double shifts, mornings at the casino, nights as a supermarket guard. He slept less than 4 hours a day, but he never once complained." Tears streamed down again as Juliana gave a bitter laugh through her sobs. "He used to say, 'Julie, sweetheart, I don't do this job because I like it, but because of you. One day, you'll have a better life than I ever did. That's my dream." Logan felt his throat tighten. That story was too much like his own life. Juliana went on. When I was 12, my father was fired. The reason? Because he stood up for a colleague being harassed by the boss. He said it outright. That's not right. And then they let him go. She wiped her tears, her voice trembling. That day, he came home pale-faced, but still told me, Julie, remember this. Never stay silent in the face of injustice, even if it costs you. If you stay silent, you'll lose yourself. Logan asked softly, what did he do after that? He looked for another job. Still as a janitor, but at a smaller company, for less pay, worse conditions. Even so, he never let me see him sad. He always smiled, always encouraged me to study. Juliana turned to him, her eyes brimming. And do you know what the last thing he ever said to me was? Logan fell still, only shook his head faintly. Juliana broke down, sobbing aloud. He was lying in that hospital bed, skin and bones. I held his hand, sobbing, begging him not to go. And he smiled, stroked my hair, and whispered, Julie, sweetheart, I'm so proud of you. You've studied hard. You're about to enter college. But remember one thing. No matter how successful or wealthy you become, never forget your roots. Never look down on workers like me. Because they too have dreams, families, their own pain. They deserve respect. Juliana buried her face in her hands, her sobs choking. And I promised. I promised I would never forget. But I forgot, Logan. I forgot everything. Logan sat motionless. He knew that feeling, the weight of a promise carried in your heart, yet unfulfilled. Juliana wiped her tears and continued, her voice hoarse. After my dad died, I threw myself into success. I studied business, worked like mad, wanted to prove that a janitor's daughter could stand at the top. She let out a bitter laugh. And I did it. At 25, I became director of a small casino. At 30, I bought it, renamed it Stone Resorts. At 35, I turned it into the third largest resort chain in Las Vegas. She bit her lip, her voice breaking. But along the way, I lost myself. I grew cold, treated people like tools. I fired employees without caring why. I cut wages to raise profits. I became the kind of person my father hated most. Juliana looked straight into Logan's eyes, hers glistening. And tonight, when I was drunk, when I fell, all the people I thought were colleagues, friends, they turned their backs. They filmed me, mocked me. No one helped. She clutched Logan's hand, trembling. But you, a man I never once noticed, a man I dismissed as just a janitor, you were the only one who stepped forward. And in that moment, I saw my father in you. I saw the kindness I lost. I saw the person I was meant to be. She sobbed, whispering, Thank you, Logan. Thank you for reminding me who I used to be. Logan held her hand firmly, his voice earnest. You don't need to thank me. I only did what anyone should do. Help when someone needs it. Juliana shook her head, tears falling. No, Logan. Not everyone would do that. Tonight proved it. She turned back to the window, her voice lowering. You have a daughter. You're raising her on your own, just like my father. And I know you're fighting every day to give Ava a better life. She turned back again, and for the first time that night, she truly smiled. A gentle smile. And you're different from my father in one way. You still have time. Time for Ava to grow up proud that her father is a good man. Time for you not to regret. Juliana's eyes shone through the glimmer of her tears. And so do I. I still have time to change. to become the person my father always wanted me to be. 5 o'clock the next morning. Logan woke with a strange feeling, as if everything from last night had been nothing more than a hazy dream. But the navy tie still draped over the chair pulled him back to reality. He had taken the CEO home, had listened to her story about her father, and had connected with a person he never thought he would have the chance to reach. And now what? Would Juliana Stone remember anything? Or when dawn came, would she forget it all, leaving him once again as just the janitor on the 15th floor? Logan shook his head, reminding himself, don't expect. He had done the right thing. That was enough. He put on his uniform, a blue polo shirt with the Stone Resorts logo, black khakis, old sneakers. Ava was still fast asleep, curled up like a kitten. Logan gently kissed her forehead, whispering, "Daddy's going to work, princess." Ava stirred, her eyes half closed. "Come home early, okay?" My plays this afternoon. Logan's heart sank. He had nearly forgotten. Today, Ava was performing in the school play, as a little princess, something she had practiced for weeks. "I'll be back early," he promised. "I promise." Ava smiled faintly and drifted back to sleep. Logan knew his long shift could make that promise fragile, but he would try. He had to try. 6 a.m., Logan entered Stone Resorts through the back entrance for service staff, swiped his card, and rode the freight elevator to the 15th floor. The hallway was empty, the familiar scent of cleaning chemicals in the air, the hum of a vacuum echoing from somewhere down the corridor. He pushed his supply cart and got to work, mopping floors, wiping windows, emptying trash bins, checking restrooms, the repetitive jobs no one ever noticed. But today, it felt different. Everything seemed to carry more weight. He remembered Juliana's story, remembered Thomas Stone, a father who had done the same work with pride, not because it was glamorous, but because it was how he provided for his child. So do I, Logan thought. I work for Ava. And that's something to be proud of. 8 a.m. Logan was cleaning a window when he overheard murmurs near the elevator. Two office employees, a man and a woman, coffee cups in hand, speaking in hushed tones. "Did you hear about last night?" the woman asked. "The CEO being drunk?" "Yeah, heard it. It's viral now. Someone posted it in the internal group chat. Oh God, bad one. But I heard someone took her home." "Who? Who'd be stupid enough to get involved?" "Not sure. Just heard. It was a janitor." The man let out a sharp laugh. "Seriously?" Probably thought that'd get him a promotion. Logan's hand froze on the glass. Not because they mentioned him, but because they assumed kindness always came with ulterior motives. He turned away, intending to slip off quietly. The woman spoke again. "That's not fair. Maybe he just wanted to help?" "Help? Around here, nobody helps without expecting something. So what do you believe in, then? There's no kindness left?" The man fell silent, then sighed. "Kindness is a luxury here. People only care about titles, salaries, who climbs higher." The woman didn't reply. Logan walked away, his chest heavy. Even when you do the right thing, some will twist it. But he had no regrets. He did it for himself, for Ava, for the promise he made Sarah. 9:30. His phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. "Mr. Pierce, this is Tiffany Nguyen, assistant to Miss Stone. Miss Stone would like to see you in her office at 10 o'clock. Please arrange accordingly." Logan's heart pounded. He read it 3 times. "See you in the office." What did that mean? A thank you? A warning? Or worse, a dismissal for crossing the line? Marcus passed by and saw Logan's pale face. "Pierce, you okay?" I've been summoned to the CEO's office." "God, Because of last night. Logan nodded. Marcus patted his shoulder. Whatever happens, you did the right thing. Don't regret it. The elevator carried Logan up to the 30th floor, the executive floor, a place people like him almost never set foot. The doors opened. The hallway gleamed bright, white marble floors polished like glass, walls of windows revealing the Las Vegas skyline, expensive art lining the walls. Tiffany Nguyen, the young receptionist with long black hair and a practiced smile, stood as he approached. Mr. Pierce? Yes? Ms. Stone is expecting you. Please, go in. She gestured toward the large wooden door at the end of the hall, the brass nameplate engraved, Juliana Stone, CEO. Logan drew a deep breath and walked toward the door of fate. Juliana's office wasn't just spacious. It was like its own world. Walnut floors, glass walls opening to a full view of the Strip, a sleek black granite desk, a ceiling-high bookshelf packed with volumes on business, art, and philosophy. On the wall hung a framed photo, a dark-skinned man in a worker's uniform smiling beside a little black-haired girl, Thomas Stone and Juliana. Logan stared at the photo, time seeming to stand still. That's the only picture I still have of my father. Juliana's voice came from behind him. Logan turned. She stood there, not in her familiar power suit, but in a simple white blouse, black slacks, her hair tied neatly back. No heavy makeup, no glittering jewelry. She looked more real, more human. Her eyes still bore the faint redness of someone who had cried. Mr. Pierce, she said softly, please sit. Logan lowered himself into the leather chair opposite her, unease still stirring inside him. Juliana sat as well, studying him in silence for a long while before speaking. First of all, I owe you an apology. Logan blinked. An apology? To me? Juliana nodded. An apology for what happened last night. An apology for letting you see me in that state. And an apology because, in the 3 years you've worked here, I've never truly seen you. She drew a deep breath, her voice trembling slightly. I forgot that every person in this company has a story, has a family, has dreams. I only saw numbers, titles, performance, and I forgot the people. Her eyes locked on his. But last night, you reminded me. You didn't have to do that. You could have walked away like everyone else, but you didn't, and I can't forget that. Logan swallowed hard. You don't need to apologize. I only did what I thought was right. Juliana gave a weary smile. And that's exactly what shames me. In a world where everyone chooses what's advantageous, you chose what's right. She rose and walked to the photo, her fingers brushing the frame. I told you about my father, about the promise I forgot. But there's one more thing. Her voice cracked. 10 days before he died, my father said, Julie, if one day you forget who you are, remember this. You are the daughter of Thomas Stone, a man who worked with his hands but had an honest heart. That's what matters most. Juliana turned, tears streaking down her cheeks. And last night, when I looked at you, I remembered. Silence filled the room. Juliana wiped her tears, her voice steadier now. I've thought about it all night. I want to change, not just myself, but this company. She opened a drawer and pulled out a folder. I reviewed your file, Logan. 3 years of work, no tardiness, no complaints, consistently excellent performance. And more than that, she read aloud. 2023. Mr. Pierce volunteered 4 extra hours to clean after a water pipe burst on the 12th floor. No request for overtime pay. 2024. Mr. Pierce supported his older colleague, Mr. Marcus Reed, when he injured his back. Volunteered to cover his shifts for 2 weeks. Juliana looked up. You are exactly the kind of person this company needs. And I never saw it. She set the file down, her voice growing firm. Logan, I can't make up for the last 3 years. But I can change the future. She produced an envelope. This is an official offer. Director of Facilities Management. Salary $75,000 a year. Full benefits. Health insurance for you and Ava. Dental, retirement plan. Hours 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. No night shifts, no weekends. Logan sat frozen. Juliana continued. And beyond that, you'll have the authority to establish a new department, Department of Employee Welfare, to take care of the service staff, so they're no longer invisible. She stood, extended her hand. Logan Pierce, will you accept? Logan looked at Juliana's outstretched hand, then let his eyes fall to the envelope she was holding. $75,000 a year. That figure was twice his current income. Enough so Ava wouldn't have to wear second-hand clothes. Enough so he wouldn't live each month in fear of the electric bill. Enough for them to live, not just survive. But another voice echoed in his head. What will they say about you? He glanced at the door, imagining the whispers. He took advantage of her when she was drunk. Put on a show to get promoted. A director? He's just a janitor. His throat tightened, his voice trembling slightly. Miss Stone, I don't know if I deserve this. Juliana lowered her hand, her eyes warm but resolute. You're worried about what people will think, aren't you? Logan nodded honestly. Last night I already heard the whispers. They think I helped you because I had an agenda. If I accept this job, they'll believe it even more. Juliana was quiet for a moment, then walked back to her desk and picked up a remote. Let me show you something. The large screen on the wall lit up. A video played, security footage from the rooftop party the night before. The recording ran. Logan saw himself standing in the corner with Marcus, saw Juliana sitting alone at the bar, the crowd dispersing one by one. The camera captured the moment he hesitated, looked toward the exit, then turned back toward Juliana. The decisive moment. He set his soda down, stepped toward her, caught her as she staggered, and guided her through the crowd, without looking at anyone, without caring about their stares. Juliana switched off the video and turned to him. Do you see? In that moment, you weren't thinking of gain, or of what people would say. You only thought that someone needed help. She stepped closer. And that's why I believe you deserve this. Not because you helped me, but because you have something many here have lost. Compassion. Juliana sat beside him, not as a CEO behind a desk, but like a confidant. Logan, I understand your fear, and I don't blame you. But let me tell you something. She looked directly into his eyes. My father was mocked for being a janitor. People said he had no education, no future. And he told me, they can laugh at my job, but they cannot laugh at how I do it. I work with pride, with dedication, and with a true heart. That's something no one can take away. Juliana gave a small smile. You're the same, Logan. People can say whatever they want, but they cannot deny your dedication and your heart. Logan's throat tightened. For the first time, besides Ava and Sarah, someone truly saw him. But, Ms. Stone, he rasped, I don't have a degree. I've never managed anyone. I don't know if I can do this. Juliana shook her head. Degrees can be earned, management skills can be trained. Character cannot be taught. She laid a hand on his shoulder. And you already have the most important thing. You understand what it's like for the workers who keep this place running. You won't forget them, as I once did, She rose, extending her hand once more. "So, this time, will you accept?" Logan looked at that hand, then lifted his eyes to the face that was no longer cold, but filled with warmth. He thought of Ava, of the promise he had made Sarah, of wanting to give his daughter a better life. He thought of Thomas Stone, the man who had worked his whole life just so his daughter could have a future. "If I take this job," he said, his voice still shaky but resolute, "I promise. I will never forget where I came from. I will never forget the people like me." Juliana smiled, the most genuine smile of that long night. "That is exactly why I chose you." Logan stood, took her hand. "I accept." Juliana smiled through glistening eyes. "Welcome to your new role, Director Pierce." And in that moment, Logan understood. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't just change someone else's life. It changes your own. News spread like wildfire. Less than 2 hours after Logan left Juliana's office, Stone Resorts was buzzing. Logan Pierce, the janitor, has just been appointed Director of Facilities Management. Walking through the 15th floor hallway, he could feel the eyes on him, cold as blades. Marcus rushed over, wrapping him in a hug, his voice bursting with excitement. "Pierce, you did it. I'm so proud of you." But not everyone shared Marcus's joy. In the corner, 2 accountants whispered, glancing at him from time to time. A security guard passing by shook his head, muttering under his breath, "Lucky bastard." And by the elevators, Maya Hassan, the marketing director, stood still, her eyes icy, fixed on him without a word. Logan stepped into the men's restroom, intending to splash water on his face and regain composure. But from the stalls came lowered voices, punctuated with derisive laughter. "He must have done something. No one gets promoted that fast. Yeah, probably had some leverage to blackmail the CEO, or worse. Maybe they've got some kind of relationship." Logan froze, hands gripping the sink. Each word was like a knife twisting deeper. He wanted to confront them, to shout back. But he knew, the more he explained, the less they would believe. He only splashed cold water on his face and walked out, his heart heavy. Day 1, and already like this. That afternoon, Logan's inbox pinged with an email from Samuel Brooks, Director of Human Resources. "Mr. Pierce, please come to my office at 2 p.m. We need to discuss your position transition." At the appointed time, Logan arrived. Samuel, a man in his 50s, sharp gray suit, gleaming gold-rimmed glasses, sat behind his desk, face unreadable. "Sit down, Pierce." Logan obeyed, the air heavy like an interrogation. Samuel laced his fingers, his voice cold. "I'll be direct. I don't agree with this decision." Logan blinked. "Sir, why?" Samuel's eyes locked on his, unblinking. "Because you have no management experience, no relevant degree, and most importantly, your appointment has sparked serious doubts about fairness in this company." He opened a file, flipping through pages. "In the past 3 hours alone, I've received 7 complaint emails from senior and mid-level staff alike. They all believe your promotion is completely illegitimate." He paused, his tone lowering. "And frankly, Pierce, I share the same question. Why did Ms. Stone choose you? What exactly happened last night?" The words struck Logan like a slap. Not because they were false, but because, logically, they made sense. If he were an outsider, perhaps he would have thought the same. Logan drew a deep breath, forcing calm into his voice. "Mr. Brooks, I understand the suspicion. And I don't blame anyone. But I assure you, I did nothing wrong. I only helped someone when they needed it. Ms. Stone. She saw something in me, something I never saw in myself." Samuel leaned back, his face still carved from stone. Nice words, Pierce. But in the corporate world, words hold no weight. Only actions prove anything. He rose, snapping the file shut. I'll give you 3 months of probation. If you can't prove yourself, I'll recommend to Ms. Stone that this decision be rescinded. Before Logan could reply, Samuel opened the door, adding icily, "And one piece of advice. Don't let sentiment cloud your judgment. Here, only results are recognized." Logan walked out heavier than when he'd walked in. 3 months. Just 3 months to prove his worth. If he failed, he wouldn't just lose the job. He would lose respect and confirm the skeptics were right all along. He glanced at his watch. 3 p.m. Ava's play was set to start at 3:30. Pressure weighed from every side, but one thing was clear in his mind. No matter what happens, I can't let Ava down. That afternoon, Logan drove like a madman toward Ava's school. Las Vegas blazed under the sun, traffic jammed, horns blaring. But he didn't care. The only thing in his mind was the image of his little girl waiting for her dad at the stage. 3:25 p.m. The car shot into the parking lot. Logan hurried into the auditorium where the doors were already shut. The play had begun. He slipped quietly into the back row, panting. On stage, children were performing the play of a princess and a dragon. And then Ava appeared. She wore a purple princess dress, the old one from the discount store, but Ava had carefully sewn sequins on it to make it sparkle. Her clear voice rang out, "I don't need anyone to save me. But I am grateful for those who stayed with me when I needed them." The line pierced straight into Logan's heart. He watched his daughter smiling brightly on stage, completely unaware that her father sat silently in the dark, tears streaming down his face. In that moment, he understood. Everything he did wasn't for money, wasn't for a title, wasn't to prove anything to anyone. It was so Ava could stand there, confident, happy, without worrying whether her dad could pay her tuition tomorrow. When the play ended, the audience erupted in applause. Ava bowed, her eyes scanning the hall. And then she saw Logan. Her face lit up, her small hands waving high, her lips mouthing, "Daddy." He waved back, smiling through tears. After the performance, Ava ran out and leapt into his arms. "Daddy, you came!" "I thought you wouldn't make it." Logan hugged her tightly. "I promised, didn't I? I'll never let you down." Ava tilted her head, eyes glistening. "Daddy, are you crying?" "No." Logan wiped his eyes, smiling. "It's just, I'm so proud of you." Ava beamed. "I'm proud of you too. When did you come?" "From the start." "I saw everything." She hugged him tight, whispering, "You're the best daddy in the world." And Logan knew, no matter how many doubts swirled outside, this moment alone was enough to keep him standing firm. On the way home, Ava chirped, "Daddy, did something good happen to you today?" Logan smiled. "Yes. I have good news for you." "What is it?" I got a promotion." Ava's eyes went wide. "Really? Promoted to what?" "Director. Director of Facilities Management." She bounced on her seat. "Oh my gosh! I knew it. I told you to go to that party, and you'd meet someone important." Logan chuckled. "Yeah, you were right. I did. Her name is Miss Stone." "Is she nice, Daddy?" He paused, thinking of Juliana, her story, her pain, and her resolve to change. She lost herself once, but now she's trying to come back. Ava was quiet for a moment, then asked, "Daddy, why do you always help people, even when they're not your friends?" The question caught Logan off guard. He drove a little farther, thinking, then answered, "Because your mom taught me something. In this life, we'll meet many people. Some will help us, some will hurt us. But what matters isn't how they treat us. It's how we treat them. He glanced at his daughter in the rear-view mirror. Because in the end, when we look back, we won't remember what we had. We'll remember what we gave. Ava thought for a moment, then said seriously, "Daddy, I think Mommy would be very proud of you." Logan froze. "Why do you think that?" Ava smiled. "Because Mommy always said, a good person isn't someone who's never fallen. It's someone who falls, stands back up, and still chooses to do what's right. You've fallen many times. When Mommy died, when you had to work double shifts, when you were tired but still played with me. But you never gave up. You're still good." Tears welled again. Logan had to pull over, unable to see the road. Ava grew worried. "Daddy, what's wrong?" He hugged her tightly, his voice breaking. I just love you so much, Ava. So much." That night, after Ava had fallen asleep, Logan sat alone on the sofa, opened his laptop. His inbox overflowed with congratulations, doubts, challenges, but he didn't open them. Instead, he quietly opened an old file, the letter Sarah had left before she died. "My dearest Logan, if you're reading this, it means I'm no longer with you. I know you'll be in pain, but remember, you are the strongest man I've ever known. Not because you don't cry, but because even when you do, you stand up and keep going. Teach Ava that. Teach her that kindness is not weakness, but strength. And one day, when you feel you're not good enough, remember, to me and to Ava, you will always be our hero. I love you forever." Sarah. Logan closed the laptop and wiped his tears. He looked toward the bedroom where Ava clutched the old teddy bear her mother had left her. And in his heart, he whispered a promise. "Sarah, I won't let you down. I'll prove that doing the right thing is never wrong." 3 months passed like a whirlwind. Logan Pierce, now called Director Pierce, didn't waste a single day. On his very first morning in the role, he didn't sit in the gleaming office upstairs. Instead, Logan went down to the basement, where janitors, maintenance staff, and security guards worked. He sat and had lunch with them, listening to their stories. Marcus chuckled. "Pierce, you're a director now, and you're still eating sandwiches with us?" Logan replied firmly, "Yes, I'm a director. But I'll never forget where I came from." It was those simple conversations that opened his eyes. He learned that many employees had to work double shifts just to get by. Many had no dental insurance, living with chronic toothaches they couldn't afford to treat. And most of all, they were treated like invisible people. No one remembered their names. No one ever said thank you. Just 1 week later, Logan handed Juliana a 15-page proposal. Employee Dignity Initiative. It included raising minimum wage to $18 an hour, from $12, dental coverage for all full-time employees, flexible working hours for those with children, a monthly recognition program, 3 outstanding employees awarded $500 each, free mental health counseling services. Juliana frowned as she read. "Logan, do you know how much this will cost?" He answered bluntly, "I know. $2,300,000 per year. And you think the board will agree?" Logan looked straight into her eyes. "If we don't take care of the people who hold up the foundation, one day this whole building will collapse." Juliana stayed silent for a long moment, then smiled softly. "You're right. I'll bring it to the board." By the second week, Logan organized a gathering with over 200 frontline employees. In the vast auditorium, everyone was curious, skeptical. One employee stood and asked, "Who are you? Why do you care about us?" Logan stepped onto the stage. No fancy microphone, no slick PowerPoint. Just him and his real story. My name is Logan Pierce. 3 months ago, I was just like you, working night shifts, mopping floors on the 15th, worrying about rent at the end of the month. But then one night, I did something simple. I helped someone who needed help, and that changed my life. He looked directly at the rose in front of him. But today, I'm not here to tell you about me. I'm here to tell you this. You matter. His voice cracked with emotion. You are not just janitors, not just security guards, not invisible people. You're the ones who keep this hotel clean every day. You're the ones who keep thousands of guests safe. You're the ones who repair the breakdowns so everything keeps running. And starting today, I promise, you will never be forgotten again. He announced the new welfare program. Thunderous applause filled the hall, but not everyone was convinced. An older worker stood up, his voice skeptical. You talk a good game, Director Pierce. But words are easy, actions are hard. Logan nodded firmly. You're right. So give me 3 months. If I don't deliver, you have the right to demand my dismissal. The man quietly nodded. Fine. 3 months. And Logan delivered. Month 1, wages increased, insurance expanded. Month 2, the recognition program launched. The first 3 names announced: Maria, 20 years as a janitor; Carlos, maintenance worker; and Linda, security guard. All 3 cried when they received their awards, because it was the first time in their lives someone had said thank you and truly meant it. Month 3, the internal survey results were published. Employee satisfaction rose from 45% to 78%. Turnover dropped 40%. Productivity rose 25%. Samuel Brooks, the HR director, called Logan into his office. He looked at him, his voice low. Pierce, I have to admit, I was wrong about you. Logan smiled. You weren't wrong. You were just careful. Samuel nodded, then stood and shook his hand. Welcome officially to the leadership team. But the greatest recognition didn't come from Samuel, or even from the board. It came from Marcus. One afternoon, Marcus brought an envelope into Logan's office. Pierce, I've got something for you. Inside was a card, signed by over 150 employees. On the cover it read, Thank you, Director Pierce. For seeing us, Logan opened the card, reading each name, each scrawled message. Tears streamed down his face. Marcus patted his shoulder, smiling. You know, Pierce, you didn't just change the company, you changed the lives of so many people. Logan wiped his tears, his voice breaking. I just did what I once wished someone had done for me. Marcus nodded, his eyes full of pride. And that's exactly why you deserve to be here. The story of Logan Pierce is not a fairy tale. Not every good person is rewarded. Not every right action leads to success. But that has never been the reason for people to stop doing good. Because the value of kindness does not lie in the reward we receive. It lies in the person we choose to become. Logan Pierce became the father Ava could be proud of. Juliana Stone found herself again, the person her father once hoped she would be. And thousands of employees at Stone Resorts regained their dignity. All of it began with a single, simple decision: to help someone, even when no one else was willing. So the question for you is this: if one day you stood in a crowd, and before your eyes was someone in need, while everyone else turned away, what would you do? Would you step forward? Or would you take the easier path, pull out your phone, record, and walk away? No one can answer that for you. But remember, the way you treat others when no one is watching is the mirror that reflects who you truly are. And sometimes, one small action, a word of encouragement, a hand extended, A choice to do the right thing can change an entire life. Not only the life of the one being helped, but your own life as well. As Sarah once said, kindness is not weakness. Kindness is strength. And as Thomas Stone taught his daughter, never forget your roots. Never look down on those who work with their hands, because they too have dreams, have families, have their own pain, and they deserve respect. This is the story of Logan Pierce, a single father, a janitor, an ordinary man who chose to do something extraordinary. And you? What story will you write for yourself? If this story touched you, leave a comment below. Which part of Logan and Ava's journey made you think the most? Have you ever witnessed a small act that led to a great change? Don't forget to hit like to share this story with more people. And if you want to keep journeying with us, subscribe to True Tale Time, where every day we tell stories of justice, kindness, and the price of consequence. Because, as you've just seen, doing the right thing is never wrong.